anderen lieb ich für mein Leben, lebe eben wie ich kann. Wollt ich mir doch Mühe geben, passt es mir doch gar nicht an. Schöne alte Lieder weiß ich in der Kälte ohne Schuh.
Dear Diary, when one spends the majority of life alone, it is not unusual for the mind to wander down the beaten path. After all, a mind that is fed with solitude can imagine the most wildest of things. Let me start from the beginning, my darling diary, so you can at least get a tiny glimpse of what I am trying so hard to say. On an average day in the life of Anastasia, my usual routine would often be wandering through the forest, studying every single tree. You see, trees come in such a variety of shape and size that I have yet to find two identical trees. If only humans were made like that. I soon came across a beautiful apple tree. Sitting underneath this tree was an equally beautiful creature. It looked like a human, but was blue in color. And we all know that humans do not come in blue. Or maybe they do. For this blue creature seemed youthful and human-like in appearance. "Would you like an apple?" chirped this little boy blue. An apple, I thought. An apple is so ordinary, so simple. But as soon as I sunk my teeth into this apple, I discovered that I was completely wrong, for this simple apple was not so simple after all. It was sinfully delicious. Just as I took my second bite, a thunderstorm broke out. "I better hurry back to my cave," I muttered. "What for?" asked Boy Blue. "You are already wet." What a stupid thing to say, I thought. But then, this ridiculous statement began to make perfect sense to me. I was already wet. "Come on, let's roll down the hills," shouted Boy Blue. Soon I was running at a terrific speed with this blue creature. Suddenly, lightning struck and a heavy thorny branch fell on top of me, and I hit the muddy ground at a tremendous velocity. My leg was covered with blood. "It's just a little scratch," whispered Boy Blue. "Let's keep running." Despite the fact that I was in pain and had a nagging suspicion that my limbs were severely damaged, I continued to run. Soon, we came across a muddy lake. The blue creature dipped a cup into it and drank. "Take a drink. It's natural and good for you," said Boy Blue. I was repulsed to drink such filth, but at the same time, I wanted to touch the same thing the blue creature's lips touched. And so I drank the putrid water, much to the blue creature's delight. "Now, let's start running," piped Boy Blue in an excited, high-pitched tone. This time the thunderstorm was at its peak. The winds were strong and heavy, and it promptly slammed me against a tree. I heard a snap, and then I fell into the mud. Could that be my back? I wondered. "It's just a little pat on your back," whispered Boy Blue. "Get up. Let's start running again." At this point, I had so many bruises that I felt spasms of pain all over my body. But my mind rationalized that it was better to be soaked in blood, sweat, and rain than be soaked in blood, sweat, and tears. And so I could not stop running. In fact, whatever the blue creature did, I did. If he jumped over a stump, I would jump over the tree stump. When he dived into the mud, I dived into the mud. When he slammed into a bush of thorns, I slammed into the bush of thorns. It was as if I was in some sort of trance. The only thing that struck me as strange was that while I was literally bleeding from head to toe, the blue creature was virtually undamaged. It was as if he had no feelings at all. Surely, this cannot be human. The blue creature then pointed to a cliff. "What a beauty," remarked Boy Blue. This was no ordinary cliff. It was not only incredibly steep, but it was literally covered with pointy-shaped rocks. That was the cliff of death. And like a speed maniac in some sort of drug, the blue creature began to effortlessly climb the cliff with its strong, muscular legs. If I had even an ounce of wisdom at that moment, I should have known better than to climb that deadly cliff with my matchstick legs. But alas, my mind rationalized my fear into believing that even an ounce of adrenaline was not only rare, but also more expensive than gold. For few have lived to experience true adrenaline in its rawest and purest form. And since I, Anastasia, deserve gold, then surely I must deserve adrenaline as well. And like a giddy acolyte who just found its master, I followed the blue creature up the cliff. Once on top of the cliff, the blue creature was ecstatic that I joined it in this conquest. "Doesn't this feel great?" shouted Boy Blue. I didn't answer. You see, I was a bit taken back by the blue creature's sentence structure. "Doesn't this feel great?" What a simple sentence. Could that blue creature just be a simple human after all? "Anastasia, who are you talking to?" piped a melodic voice. I looked around only to see a wet bird perched on a rock. "I am with Boy Blue. That's who I'm talking to," I told the bird. The bird was now silent. Perhaps it was blind too. After all, how could it not see this blue creature? Everybody who is anybody must be able to see this lovely blue creature. "Take my hand," cried Boy Blue. "I'm going to show you how to fly." Fly? Oh, how nice that must be. To fly and be free, I thought. "But what if I fall?" I asked. "Don't worry. Only if I fall, you fall. And I will never fall," proudly declared Boy Blue. I held on to this blue creature's hand as we got ready to jump. "Till death do us apart," screamed Boy Blue. We jumped. For a few brief seconds, I began to feel like I really was flying. But soon I started to plummet at a dangerous speed. I hit every single sharp rock that was jutting out of the cliff. My body fell to the ground like a limp mass of jelly. The blue creature lay beside me, but it had no bruises. It was glowing, and his creamy milk skin was intact. "How do you feel?" I asked. "Wonderful. I feel wonderful," Boy Blue shouted. Wonderful? This is not so wonderful. This is very painful, I muttered. At that instant, the wet bird that had spoken to me earlier flew over. "Anastasia, tell me, why do you talk to yourself?" the bird implored. "Why do you bang your body against rocks? Why do you crash into trees? Why do you destroy yourself repeatedly?" "What are you babbling about, you stupid bird?" I shouted. "Can't you see? Me and the blue creature are having grand adventures in the forest." "Look around, you fool," cried the bird. "What do you see?" I looked around, but the blue creature suddenly disappeared. How could a 6-footed creature vanish so silently? I was now in excruciating pain, the kind of pain one feels when one's limbs are slowly being pulled apart. It was still raining, and lightning struck a tree, bringing the large tree branch crashing on top of me. "Oh, Anastasia," cried the bird, "why do you do this to yourself?" "Oh, little bird, you do not understand. I did this out of shouted the bird. I could not explain myself to this bird. In fact, I cannot even explain this to you, dear diary. But I suspect now that I truly am insanely delusional. After all, how could I fall for something that never existed to begin with?
Draußen in die Seiten reiß ich, weiß nicht, wo ich abends ruh. Manche Schöne macht wohl Augen meinet, ich gefiel ihr sehr, wenn ich nur was wollte taugen, so ein armer Rum nicht wär.